guys. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. I had a little tech panic moment behind the scenes. I couldn't get it to go live and I thought all was lost, but we did it. We're here. Hopefully we did it. I don't know. You guys put a comment if you can see and hear us. Now I'm like paranoid. I'm like, are we live? I don't know. Maybe I'll check on my phone while you guys introduce yourself. You guys, welcome to Business Power Hour. We're going to be talking about what the fuck to post on social media. So if you know you need to be posting on social media, but you can't figure out what to post, you don't know what to post, every time you open up your phone, you feel like you're going to barf and you're like, I don't know what to say. This is all stupid. Why would anybody listen to me? We're going to talk about all the things today about how to figure out what to post on social media and how to make just an easy content strategy and plan for yourself. I am going to get this all set up over here and just double check that it's all working. You guys let us know if you can see and hear us, please, in the chat. And then I'll let our guest panel, the superstar guest panel, introduce themselves. Carly, you want to go first?
Sure, I guess I have to now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carlin. I'm known as that content nerd on like everywhere because I'm 100% a nerd. You guys can't really see it, but that's a Venom poster behind me. I've got Crash Bandicoot on today. Nerd life for the win. I'm a social media manager and content strategist, and really I'm just obsessed with simplifying social because I think it's been made to be difficult, and that's like a whole soapbox for another day, but it's really not that hard, and I'm obsessed with making it easy for people.
I love that.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Perfect.
I'm Alice Bolte. I run a company called wildflowersgrow.co, and I help empower women towards wholeness and helping them bloom amidst the storms of life through Christian spiritual care and life coaching. Basically helping women find rest, wholeness, and their absolutely powerful purpose. I am so motivated to help women who feel like life is just like they can't get anywhere in life, because that's where I was a few years ago. And I had been doing therapy and counseling for 17 years. And I found life coaching and life coaching classes, and a whole new world opened up. My whole life changed. And so one of the cool things about why I'm here today for what to post on social media is I ran a company called capeandapron.com. I do business coaching. It seems like I really attract like clients who want business coaching, especially like when they feel like they have like this spiritual purpose and they need to get this message out in the world, like from their soul. That I keep having people come to my doorstep who have that need. And it is just a beautiful thing to help women in that. So capeandapron.com, I started that in 2016, and I feel
like Alice is very modest. That site was very successable and has made her a lot of money. And fun fact, Alice was one of my first masterminds when I had my blog. We were in like a little back probably in 2016, 2017 or something, like
a lifetime ago.
Yeah. it feels like several lifetimes ago. Yes, several internet lifetimes ago. Yeah, but I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. And then last but not least, Ms. Corlin Hazelwood.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here and with such other powerful women as well. It's such an honor. Thank you for having me. A little bit about me. I help coaches and course creators, digital product creators as well. We can kind of throw in there, systemize and automate their businesses so that they can help more people make more money and do that in less time. And I am a little bit different than the business coaches you might see on Instagram. I really focus on the tech side of things. But the reason why I'm here in terms of talking about social media and content strategy is because we've been able to do I think we're just about to hit 700,000 in sales in all organic social media content in the last 2.5 years. And so a lot of people always ask me questions about this. And while it's not my bread and butter, I have a lot to say about it. And I really do love having conversations about it. So I'm excited to share with you guys today.
Yeah, Corlin's like a genius at selling on Instagram stories. I always tell everybody to go follow your account to learn how to do sales in a non-annoying way.
I'm the anti-salesy sales girl.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for being here. I would love to hear, and you guys can put questions in the chat. I know some people are watching live. If you guys want us to talk about anything specific, I feel like the live people in Business Power Hour, you guys are like VIP. So you are like here with us all together. If you have something specific you're struggling with your social media, let us know in the comments and we can have a conversation about that. Because if you're struggling with it, I can guarantee you other people are struggling with it as well. But I would love to get your guys' input. Something I hear a lot from people is like, oh, I know I should be posting, but I'm not doing it. And like, how do you know what to post? And I don't know how to come up with a strategy. And like, I don't even know where to start, all that types of stuff. I'd love to hear like just a tip from each of you. Like, what would you say to someone that's like, I know I want to start posting on social media consistently, maybe, and a lot of stop start. I have two kind of brands. I feel like you guys let us know in the chat what brand you are. But I have one person that is just like, I want to start posting, but I just don't know how to do it. I need to know exactly what to do. How do I start? What do I do? That whole thing. And then on the other brand I have is like the stop start people, where they'll post for a while and then they stop, and they really struggle with like that consistency piece. And so I would love if you guys could give maybe some tips for them. What do you think people should do that are in one of those two camps?
There's so many different avenues we could go down.
You got to just pick one and we'll go. You just start it off and we'll follow you.
I think on the people who haven't started, it's usually like a overthinking, analysis paralysis type situation. And usually we're making it way more complicated than we need it to be. We're thinking, I need Canva graphics and I need brand photos and I need all of these things. And I'm a big proponent of just like starting with your notes app and just really, truly just starting with what you have. That random thought that pops into your head that you think, oh, like maybe that's insightful to share. Write that down in your notes app, take a screenshot of it, like put that thing up, put your little handle on the bottom so people know it's you if they do end up sharing it, and put it out there. Like, you're never going to get really good at creating content without creating content. So if it sucks for a really long time, sucks, in air quotes, because it's probably going to be very helpful, then let it be. But like, what are you telling yourself is required in order to start? And can you cut all of that out? Because it's probably none of it's like, people are just writing things on Post-it notes these days and taking a photo of that. And that's fine. Like, as long as you're starting, that's enough. And you can get better at it in time. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. So cut the fluff. All the fancy stuff is not required.
I love this. Rebecca, I'm so excited to see Rebecca. Rebecca says, I'm back from the business dead. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see if I can share the comment. Let me see. Can you guys see it? I'm back from the business dead, deciding about sharing more, my next phase of journey, because I feel like that will be really powerful versus niche content versus having some social be just for complete fun and self-expression. They're very connected. So I'm probably overthinking it. Yeah, I think Corlin's right too in what she's saying. Like, you'll figure out what you like posting and where the messaging is and all that stuff by posting. Like, I think people think like, oh, I'm going to figure out my exact thing and all of my stuff. And like, I got to get my marketing right and my niche right and everything right ahead of time. And a lot of people figure that out as they go. Like, I've know very few entrepreneurs that just picked all that in the beginning and then they just followed that and now that's what they're doing. Usually we've all been in different niches. We've all tried. I thought I was going to be a dating coach for a minute. Does anybody remember that? Like, we can all laugh about that, right? Like, I mean, we've all tried on different, sometimes as entrepreneurs, it's like you try on different things. So just try it on and see how you like it and see if you can get into a groove with it. What about you, Alice? Do you have tips for people that are in that stop start or even just trying to get started, like the very first post kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think that so I have a background in visual communication and design and graphic design and advertising. So some of that, like, there's a lot of technical stuff you could go down and say, like, all the tips for the different platforms and the color theory and your story and you could get down this rabbit hole of being perfect about what you should post, and I could share some of that kind of stuff. But I really think if you don't know what to post, or you're stopping and starting posting, going back down to saying like, why am I not posting? What is the message that I'm telling myself, that I'm believing, that is stopping me from posting? And I think that's really where the work really comes in, like just having a self-analysis and sitting down with that, and then replacing that with a belief that will help you and empower you forward. And that's not just like, if you're not knowing what to post on your business, or you're stopping and starting on your business for social, there's more to the rest of that recipe, right? There's more in your business that is stop starting or is not starting because of this one belief. So that one thing, and that's what I do pretty much with people and business coaching and stuff, is like, there's this one thing, but like, can we replace it with? Like, really be honest with yourself about like where you're at in your journey.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think one of the ones I see a lot is, we talk about in the mastermind a lot about being in a business pressure cooker, right? And people do this a lot with launches, but they do it with social media too, where it's like, I have to do it right and it all has to be perfect, or I'm not going to make any sales and the business is going to fail and I'm never going to be successful. And it's like, it's all like, it means a lot of things. And what I always try to get the mastermind to do is, I'm like, what if it just is one social media post and it's not a make or break moment? Like, a lot of new entrepreneurs make every kind of moment in their business is like, oh, it's all on the line. It's all come down to this. It all has to be perfect, right? And what Alice is saying is like, what if it doesn't mean that? Like, what if it's just one post of 100 billion times? I can't even imagine how many times I've posted on social media in my career, like a bajillion posts. Right. And it's just one of many posts. It's not that serious. And not to be like, oh, it's not important, but it's like, sometimes we make this stuff into such a big, scary thing. We make it mean so many things about us. We make it mean so many things about our business. And it's like, what if it's just one post? So I think neutralizing it, if you guys are doing that and you're having a belief that's like keeping you stuck like that, can you go for something more neutral? And then what about you, Carly? Because I know you work with a lot of people doing social media content. You have tips for people that just like don't know what to post? Like, how do you even figure out what to post?
Yeah, like I want to say too, as far as like the start stoppers or those who are like finding excuses not to post, like well, I don't know, what's the best time? What's the perfect strategy? What time should I show it? Like, what's the best? That stuff drives me crazy. But like at the end of the day, like there is always like a reason, like how we've been talking. But I want to speak specifically to those people who are really scared about what other people are going to think or the shit that they're going to get. I did not show up on social media for so long because I had been called fat all my life and I was terrified of being called fat on social media. And you know what happened? I got called fat on social media and I was like, oh my God, the whole world's coming to an end. And then one day I realized, I was like, hold on a minute. You're telling me that I was cornered by bullies in the bathroom, but I'm scared of some twerp on Instagram with no picture? Like, are you kidding me? Like, at the end of the day, my favorite thing to do, and there are times I've literally hit video reply and I've said this, it's like, I'm so glad your eyes work. And what? Like, I am so glad that you can see that I am a fat, gorgeous woman. Like, I'm so proud of you. Is there anything I can do with that information for you? Like, what else? What next? And it's like, once you kind of understand that, there's nothing that anyone can say to really weaponize against you. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't hurt, but like at the end of the day, it's like, I also have two eyes and a nose. Like, are we going to go, oh my God, you have a mouth? Like, whatever. So for one thing, you have to get over that and just realize the worst thing that can happen to you on social is someone's an asshole. And at the end of the day, you're probably never going to come across this person again. That's what block, bless, and release. Like, that's what that is. But once you get over that part, the next thing to know is, what do I post? You know what it is you need to say. You're just too scared to say it. Like, you know what your people need to hear, but you're scared of the shit you're going to get for saying it. My number one go-to is, what is the thing that your people desperately need to hear, but everyone else is too afraid to say? Whatever that thing is, go and say that. And find like 100 different ways to say that thing and say that over and over again. And then tell me you don't have like a million content ideas after that.
I always coach people. This sounds like dramatic, but sometimes I use dramatic examples in coaching, and people will be like, I just don't know what to post on social media. And it's like that thought seems real to us. Like it feels really true, right? It's like, I don't know what to post. This is definitely true. And I'm like, if I were to give you $1 million to pick up your phone right now and post something on Instagram, all of you would fucking have something to say. So it's like, you just have to be onto yourself and be like, when your brain is offering you that thought of like, I don't know what to post, be like, is that really true? I bet you could think of something to post, right? The follow-up thought is usually, well, it's not good enough, or it's not right, or it needs to be more like this. And that's where it's just like, no, like you just need to say something. Like you really need to just build the muscle. Like what Corlin was saying, it's like you get better at posting by posting. You need to build your posting muscle. Like stop trying to be good at it. Like that would be my biggest tip, is like just be bad at it, be a beginner at social media, stop trying to be good at it, and just understand like I'm gonna have to, your brain's gonna be like, it's not good enough and that's not smart and everybody already knows that, nobody cares what you have to say. And it's like, that's fine, I'm just gonna keep posting until I get better at it. I'm gonna make 500 bad Instagram posts, right? We used to do this challenge in the mastermind where it was like they had to post every day for 30 days and the posts were supposed to be bad. And the reason I was telling them to do that was just because I knew if they started posting, they're not going to be bad at posting forever. so, so those are like kind of my quick tips. Someone asked in the chat, they said for your tips about selling on social media, for example, what are some ways to create interest other than name dropping or doing a straight up walkthrough of the curriculum without being too salesy? I see Corlin has things to say.
Yeah. I always say that, like, if you're trying, they're not buying.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the MO that I take. So my whole thing, and like, I think this does too, in some ways depend on your niche or what it is that you are selling. But people are not buying like the process of what you're selling. They're buying the outcomes. They're buying how their life, how their business, how their, their relationships, how their health is going to change as a result of that thing that you are selling. And therefore, if you are selling in integrity, meaning you're selling a product or something that supports someone through something you've already achieved or something you've already accomplished, then your day-to-day life is the sales. Right. So when I show up and sell on Instagram every day, I'm not sitting there being like, I wonder which module I should break down today. I'm like, no, what am I so grateful for in my life right now that I didn't have 6 months ago, that I didn't have a year ago, that I didn't have, 2 years ago? And how can I share that in a moment of gratitude, in a moment of celebration for this, and link it back to my product, right? So a really great example of this was today, someone had sent me, I was looking at like our monthly recurring revenue in Notion, and I didn't have that statistic 2 years ago because Kajabi doesn't offer you the MRR unless you're doing subscription.
I know. I have a very annoying Airtable.
I know, right? We all have a very annoying Airtable somewhere. But I recently created a new one. And so for me, selling was just like, okay, I'm looking at my MRR. I'm going to take a photo of this and I'm going to say, I'm so grateful I built this for myself because 2 years ago, this information would have been so helpful. And now we've got, X number of sales in MRR, and it's all because of Design to Scale, which is our core program. Right. So I'm just looking at the things that I'm doing in my life. Having time to be on this call is something I'm going to relate back to our core program once I get off of here. Right. And I'm going, how do I share this in a way that feels really good? And when you're sharing from that place of gratitude, it never feels salesy. But your life today is the outcome that people desire. And so if you share your life, then it will naturally sell the thing that you're trying to sell without being salesy and without feeling like you're trying, right? There's a place for the other elements as well, but that's my go-to daily.
I really love that. And I think for all of you guys too, like thinking about, you have this product and then the social media is the marketing of the product. And I think that gets people twisted in their head. They're just like, I got to market my product. I need a marketing social media plan. And like what Corlin is saying, that just means showing them what is it like if they lose the weight, if they follow through with their goals, if they hire you as a coach, if they put your systems for their business, if they start posting on social media regularly, whatever it is you're helping people do, what is it like? Showing them, what does it look like? What does it feel like? Right? Like showing them literally on Instagram, like, what does it look like? Like giving them a really clear picture of the outcome that you can get for them. Like that's some of the best marketing you can do. And I think social media is such a good place to do that. What about you, Carly? You have tips for them for talking about products and selling and doing sales on social media?
My favorite thing to do, and it's like, I don't know, Corlin basically already talked about it, but I call it selling without selling, because like that's the thing. I'm so sick of hearing, I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to sound sleazy. If you don't want to, then you won't. The more you try to somehow do it without sounding salesy, you're going to end up sounding salesy. My favorite example of this is that when I did a VIP day with one of my clients, and it was a YouTube VIP day, she wanted to know how she could use it to get more sales in her business. And I walked through at the end of it, like it was once in the morning, then there was like a lunch break, and then there was like the rest of the afternoon. So like during the lunch break, I went on my stories and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having a VIP day with one of my favorite clients, and we're talking about X, Y, and Z, and we already had this takeaway. I freaking love this. I gotta hurry up and like finish my presentation for the next whatever. Like that idea. I did not say come sign up for VIP days. But what I did tell everybody is that I offer VIP days, that I offer them for YouTube, that I have a client, which already, like when you say words like that, like they stand out to people. Hold on. If those are things that are available, I could probably maybe sign up for one of those myself. That did not lead to more VIP day sales, but that did lead to several consults. It led to several one-off sessions. Like it led to other things. I never once said, come sign up for my stuff. Come by. All I said was, this is my experience. And for the people who are like, well, I haven't had clients yet. Why did you start? Why did you start doing this to begin with? Talk about your life. I talk about how 2 years ago I was in a basement with no plumbing, and I make it all dramatic. And I know that that would shock everybody that I'm dramatic, but I make it like a whole big thing, right? And then I'm like, and I changed my life by doing what I teach you, by doing this simple thing. I break it down. That's it. And then I go about my day. The problem is that you're afraid of sounding annoying, and you're afraid of saying it too many times because you don't want to get bored. And you're like, I need to come up with this new, brand new thing. You just got to get used to getting really annoying and bored with your content. That's what it is. The more you try to like come up with 500 new things, the more confused you're going to make people. Find 3 to 5 things to say over and over and over again, and then find 100 ways to say each of them. You don't need to be like this huge genius with 500 new ideas every day. You just take those things and you say them in 100 different ways. That's it.
That's what I think people get wrong about social media a lot is like, first of all, like the repetition, like people will be like, well, I tried to sell my product. And it's like, well, how many times did you talk about your product during a launch? And they'll be like twice. And I'm like, I talk about my stuff like twice before freaking breakfast. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm like, that's not anything like on social media. I'm like, the amount of repetitions of like literal reps you have to do, like, it's not like you're going to show them the transformation one time and that gets into sales. It's really like you have to nurture them. You have to like prove you know what you're talking about. You have to show them the transformation, like what Corlin was talking about. They need to see testimonials. They need to hear your program name. They need to like all of those things so many times. And I think people really underestimate the amount of marketing that we are doing. Like literally like just the sheer, like I look at like the sheer amount of times like me and the team email, post, podcast, videos, clips, Instagram, like it is a lot. And I'm not saying you need to be doing a million things, like you don't, but I would start simple on one platform. And don't kid yourself and think you're going to talk about a product one time and then everybody's going to know about it, because the reality is, even if you have a huge following, a very small percentage of people are seeing your stuff. So if I talk about the product, I'm the only person that's reading all my emails, seeing every Instagram story, listening to the podcast. Like I'm the only person seeing all of it. The reality is only 30% of my list is opening those emails. Then we go over to Instagram. I don't even know what the percentage is on there. My reach on there lately has been like abysmal. I think it's like 100 people or something have been watching my stories lately, right? So it's like only a very, very tiny percentage of people that have followed me even see that. And so it's like, you've got to say the same things over and over, because not everybody is opening every email. Not everybody is watching every story you post. And so the repetition part, I think, is massively missed by a lot of people. And I'm not saying that to freak you guys out, but I really want to stress is like the importance of it being very simple, because if you need to think about that kind of volume and then you're telling yourself, and every post must be very good, it's like, you're never going to get the volume you need. You'll never get the amount of content. Like I think about, like everybody's saying in the chat how good Cora Lynn's account is. Think about how many times Cora Lynn posts on Instagram in a year. Like, it's not like she's talking about design to scale twice a week. Like, that's not how she's having a multiple six-figure business on there, right? So that's my rant about that. What about you, Alice? You have sales tips for people that want to do sales on social media?
Yeah, sales is all about your story and getting good at telling your story and being comfortable in telling your story. So it's all about the transformation. You know, the teachings are the teacher. You're the teacher. You're telling everybody, you're communicating to everybody on social where you're at or what your product is that helps people. What are people missing, and what is your product offer that helps them feel more complete in that, or an obstacle that you're helping them overcome? It's all about feelings. Like, what were they feeling before, and what are they going to feel now? What are you getting them to? And when you can combine those kind of things, it will, with that trust in you, in your story, that those are just really powerful tools. And it doesn't have to be like all fancy, or like you have to write out all this stuff or make it such a big deal. Just like starting, like, this is what my product is. This is where I was before, or where this client was before, and this is where they are now. Like, what is the feeling in that? What are the feeling that people are getting from that? And that can be a really powerful thing. And it doesn't have to be salesy. It doesn't have to be like fake. It's really genuine, and it's true. And you have like a lot of passion in that, and the other people have a lot of passion, and it's connecting that.
I'll say too, like the salesy part, like really kind of cracks me up, because do you want to not be salesy, or do you want to have a business? Because like, I'm a business owner. Like, I'm going to help you guys for free. We do a lot of stuff in the community that is free. We're selling, like, even the VIP tickets we're selling are like $10. I mean, that bundle we could sell for a lot more money. We do low ticket things and we do free things. And at the end of the day, I'm a business. Like, I sell the mastermind and I sell like my coaching, and that's my business, right? And so I think another thing to think about is like, the only difference between a business that's winning and is successful and a business that fails and shuts its doors and doesn't help anybody is the bottom fucking line. And like, you know, I think too, like, reframing the salesy thing, it's like, why are you apologizing for being salesy if you're a business, right? I think at the same time, it's like nice to have strategies that, you know, like we're saying, are like interesting and engaging and storytelling and showing the transformation. I think there's ways to do it that are like a little higher level than just like bye, like ShamWow, like we're all the ShamWow guy. bye. Right. But I also think like that thought, like, I don't want to be salesy. I would look at that, like how Alice was talking about looking at your beliefs. Like, what do you think that means about you? If you're too salesy, like, does that mean people aren't going to buy? Does that mean you're gross? Does that mean you're greedy? Like, I would look at like what's under, I'm a coach, right? So I would be all up under there if I were coaching you for sure.
And you can take that too. Like, I have to be salesy, or I have to sell in order to change people's lives. And if you're not going to sell, then you are not changing anybody's life, and you're not going to reach more people in your business. So you have to kind of change that connection in your brain of like, I have to sell. I have to be so good at sales. I have to be the best I can at sales, because then I can reach as many, like, more people. The better I am at sales, the better, more people I can reach and change their lives.
Yeah, I just did a weird like little thought experiment with this lately, because I had this whole, I had like a midlife business crisis. I feel like I have like one a year. And I was like, everybody always says like the investment gets them better results, like when you spend more money. And I've had those experiences, but I had some experiences lately that were not that, where I invested a lot and I didn't get that much out of it. And I like, of course I'm me, right? So I go like all extreme with everything. And I'm like, what if this is just bullshit and this is not true at all? And we did some pay what you can scholarships in the mastermind. And I really thought they were going to get like the same level of results as the people that buy the vault. But that's not what happened. Like, a lot of them didn't use the scholarship. And I was like, God damn it. And I don't think we've fully tested it like to the full extent. Right. But I do think like I think that both, like, lots of things can be true at the same time, right? I think there's like high ticket programs where you get very little ROI. I've definitely had that experience. I think there's low ticket products where you get very little ROI. I think there's people, like some of the best people in my community I have do work exchange and don't fucking pay me anything and get tons of results and tons of value in there. And then, some people, we do scholarships and stuff and they don't use it as much as I think they would have if they had to put that $97 a month down. Because I know it would be a little painful for them. And there's something about that gets results. And all of that to say, it's like I do this with my trainer, right? It's like when I'm paying a trainer $200 a month, it's a lot easier for me to work out. I don't like negotiate as much. I don't skip as much. I don't like allow myself to skip as much. It's easier for me to get the result because I'm financially committed. And so I do think there's something to like being good at sales and also being able to get transformations for people. If we're all for real about this and we actually want to help people and we actually want to get our clients transformations, we actually want people to get real results that are significant to them and change their lives in real ways. I think like being good at sales can be helpful, right? It can help people stay committed, do the work, get uncomfortable, and do things they wouldn't have normally done. And so someone wrote in the chat, like selling in service to your clients. And like, I do like believe that, right? For sure. What do you guys think about? What else should we chat about? What else other questions do you guys have for them in the chat? Oh, Rebecca says, if you were starting over, how long would you wait to start selling via social? Would you start with a launch or evergreen social selling? I know we all have like different strategies. There's all different ways of doing this. And I know, Rebecca, you're in like BBD too, which has like a million sales strategies in it. But I'll let you guys share like what you would do, because I think what all of us would do is different based on our own experiences, right? So if you were starting over, Corlin, what would you do?
If I was starting over and my goal was to get where I am, which is like an evergreen program, I would start selling right away. And I say that for a really important reason. I think that, we have this mindset of like selling isn't service. I do believe that selling deeply is service. And I do think that there is a lot to be said for building value. Like Alex Hormozy is big on that. I think he said he built his audience for like 2 years before he ever started selling something. And I think that that's great when you are Alex Hormozy and you have $100,000 plus in the bank and millions in clients happening.
They're doing like $30 million a month. Like
yeah,
they're like have an obscene amount of.
I've seen the behind the scenes of their business and it's wildly fascinating to study it, but we can geek out on that another day. But for most of us who are doing this as a way to support our families, to break generational patterns, like you don't have that time, and your people, and this is what I always say, like the people you're here to help don't have time to fucking wait for you. And I apologize for swearing, but they don't have time to wait for you. And so, I would be starting selling right away, and I would be starting selling, one-to-one coaching specifically. And that way you don't need a ton of people. I'm huge on like, you don't need a large audience to sell. I have less than 4,000 followers, I think, on Instagram. Less than 100 people every day watch my stories, and we make generous amounts of money every single year. So I don't think a lot is required. It's really about finding the right people. And so, I think the two can go hand in hand. I think you should start posting and start selling at the same time. And I think that once you understand that posting and selling are the same thing and there's no divide between the two in your mind, this question doesn't really, it doesn't exist after that wall is kind of broken down. Those two things aren't different to me. They're the same, right? So right away, immediately. For me personally.
Yeah, if I were starting out and like I didn't have an audience, like I think it would be hard to do a launch, right? So I think what Corlin's talking about too, like if you don't have a big audience and you don't feel like you can getting a launch is like, it gets harder and harder every year. This is what I'm always telling everybody. I'm like, every year it gets harder. It's going to continue to be that way, like, by the way, right? And you really got to like grab everybody's attention for a minute in a launch. It's like, hey, everybody, we're all going to do this thing or come to this workshop or watch this thing. But if you don't have any people there, there's not really any people to like grab. So I think starting with the social selling too, because it also gets you used to pitching and talking about what you're doing and telling your story and sharing the transformation. It's like, those are skills. Like most people are not good at doing that, right? Like I'm always like, I was not good at sales when I started. I sucked at it. And I always say sales is like playing the violin, right? It's like you don't pick up the violin once and expect to be good at it. You need to do it a whole bunch of times. And so even if we were going to launch a new program, I would give myself a minute to just practice talking about it, practice pitching it, getting good at communicating all of the messaging around it. Cause I do think for me, it takes a minute to like get good at really selling an offer. And I think doing it on social media is a good way to give yourself practice doing that all the time, just kind of casually talking about the different things you teach. What do you think, Carly? What would you do if you were starting over?
This is so funny because I kind of am. I'm starting a new social account for like the agency that I'm building out. But what I will say that around this conversation usually comes up with starts out the question that comes up. I can't fucking talk, Jesus. The question that comes up is like, well, I don't have a large audience, so I can't sell. That's not a question. It's a statement. Jesus, I can't talk today. But I'm telling you, go look at any single one of my social accounts. I don't have a large audience on any of them. Not one. So if you needed a large audience to sell, I would not be in a 3-bedroom house when 2 years ago I was in a basement with no plumbing. So that's one thing. But two, I say sell right away because you need to be respectful to the audience that you have. I'm so sick and tired of everyone complaining about wanting more people. And I'm like, I'm sorry if I'm in your audience and you're over here crying because you don't have enough followers in your mind. That makes me feel like shit. It's like, oh, so I don't matter to you. I'm not important to you until you have a K in your number. I'm not important to you until I'm like have a comma there. It's like the comma thing. You can sell to your people, and there are people in your audience, whether you have 20 people or 50 people. I don't even have 300 followers on Instagram, and I make enough to make major things happen in my business. That happened because I started selling and because I started the audience and don't get me wrong, I want to be a whole media personality, okay? I want the silver play button on YouTube. I want a massive audience. I want a whole lot of things. But something I want more than that is a roof over my son and I's head. And I want to know that I did that on my own back and not building someone else's dream. That's what it was for me. And respecting the audience that you have goes hand in hand with selling. If you don't think the people in your audience want to pay you, then what makes them want to pay you when there's 10,000 of them? Start now. Fall on your face now when no one's watching your stories. Go on your stories and do the cringiest, most awkward sales pitch of your life, and maybe 1 or 2 people will see it. Don't start when you've got 500 people watching you.
Oh my God, I did this. I just had a flashback. I feel like I did this. I was like, oh God, I think I blocked this out. I was too scared to go on video, and I had this Facebook group. And I was like, I'm not going to go on live in the Facebook group until there's at least 500 people in there. Because I was like, it's just not worth my time. But really, I was just fucking scared of going on camera, right? And then I had to practice my first live videos in a Facebook group with 500 people. It was like the worst. It was the worst. I forgot all about that. Don't do that. Not good. I'm like, I wish I would have done these cringy ass videos months ago when nobody was in here. It's like, I wish I had been going live.
Make you better
in here.
So that way, even if you have 0 people in your audience right now, like let's say you start a brand new Instagram account today and there's 0 people in your audience, go live. Like, I swear to God, just go live and make it the most embarrassing thing you've ever done. Do the ahs and ums and uhs and likes every 5 seconds. Get it out of your system and then do it again tomorrow. Then by the time people are watching, you've gotten the worst part out of the way. So whether you make sales or not, start selling right away and get it out, like get that out of the way, because then you're already, 10 steps ahead from where you were. Sorry, I could go on this for hours.
I feel like starting to sell right away helps people with the posting too, because a lot of times the people that are like, I don't know what to post and I don't know what to say, it's like they don't know what they're selling, and then it ends up like being very confusing. And what I end up see happening is they build an audience and then they end up selling like, I don't know, a class on dog walking or something. But this whole time they've been like talking about all this other stuff, and it's like maybe not everybody that followed them cares about this thing they're selling now. So I think it's easier to build an audience that is interested in what you're selling when you're pitching and selling, because you're just more focused on it and you're going to end up posting content that's interesting to the people that would want to buy that. What about you, Alice? If you were starting over, what would you do? Would you sell right away, or would you wait, or what would your kind of game plan be?
Yeah, so 2 things. I think the first thing that came to mind, Rebecca asked this question. I would say if, I was on a video with her and we were doing a coaching call, I'd say, the question you're asking, if you're starting over, how long would you wait to start selling via social? Why are you asking that question?
Mm-hmm.
What's coming up in you? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the right thing to do? Like unpacking that in yourself and in your business and in your journey right now. Like, there might be an obstacle there. And for me, the second thing is I did start over. So
yeah, that's true. You should be starting over right now too.
I did not think. Yeah. So social media game has definitely changed in the last whatever. Since they're very different businesses that I have.
Yeah.
So I think that when I would just start doing it, start posting, start selling, find your story, find the one thing that you're selling if you're just beginning, and stick with that. Like what you're saying, Faith, don't go like selling dog walking and then this and that. It's like you're sticking to your brand and who you are and what you're doing and the feeling that you're getting from your branding, right? And then like you just have to start selling and start posting in order to see what sticks, in order to see what works. And for Cape and Apron, for me, my first business, it was like 3 years in that it was like, okay, I've you have to go back and see what's working. You can't just keep doing it and not reevaluate. You have to see which posts are doing best. You have to see which keywords, see what, like you really have to learn. And in order to learn, you just have to do, and you have to do a lot. And the more you do and the more you post and the more you sell, the more you can go back and analyze your results. And that give and take, and that's doing those two actions, the act and then debrief, are just the secret sauce to like where you're going to get in your business. And you have to do both, and you have to do both a lot.
Yeah, that's what we do in the mastermind too, right? And we always talk about that. But one of the thoughts I give them, people will be like, what if this doesn't work? What if I do a launch and it doesn't work? Or what if I post on social media and it doesn't work? And it's like, well, you need to know that. Like, go get the data.
You need the data. You need
that's good information for you to have. Like, if something's not going to work, like in your business, don't you want to know that? Like you want to find out what doesn't work as fast as you can, so you can get to what does work. And the thought I always give people is like, your brain's going to be like, what if it doesn't work? And you talk back to your brain, right? You're like, I need to go get the data. We're just collecting data. Like, I don't know if it's going to work. That's why we're collecting data. And we just make it about collecting data. Megan has a really good question. She says she's going through some serious instability, so I'm hesitant to host a live event, which is usually how I do my sales. Any advice for how to sell when you're not sure how you'll be able to show up each day? You guys have some tips? Corlin wants to go.
Well, this is like my favorite part, right? This is where the systems come in. It's like you've done a lot of messy action. You've figured out what's starting to work. Okay, so we know live video works for you. This is great. We've looked at the data. In our community, we say data is your daddy, right? So that's our phrase, is data is your new daddy. Like your business is trying to tell you things, right? Like it's trying to get you to listen, and you can figure out what works faster. And so the next step is to go, okay, well, things are starting to be unstable in my life. And now I need my business to be stable to support that instability. And so we have to look at the funnel and start to add the systems into it, right? So let's say, okay, we're always going live on, Megan's big on TikTok. So let's just say Megan's going live.
Megan's gone huge on TikTok lately. It's crazy.
Yeah.
She said she has 250,000 followers on it.
I know.
I was like, what's happening? That's insane.
I love to see it. Right. So then the question then becomes like, okay, so we know these lives are driving sales. Well, can we go back and look at the lives and look at what are we talking about? What questions are people asking? And can we pre-record something that people can tune into? Or can we use a system like this, like Faith is using right now, to take one of our past lives and restream it when we're not hanging out there, so that it's continuing to work for us, right? So it's like, where is the tech piece? Where is the system that I can put in place to remove myself from this system momentarily to see if I can get the same output? Because once you do that, you've changed your funnel, you've changed your system. You now need to look and go, okay, what were the results of this and how can I make this better, right? How can I improve this element of this piece? Because a webinar is going to be very different than you just like showing up talking live, but a platform like Webinar Jam can really start to mimic that if we really needed it to, where people are kind of opting in, the chat is still going up, right? And this can be used to stream onto TikTok, something that's pre-recorded or something that you've done before. So it's really like looking at what's worked, figuring out a way to kind of repeat that element, and doing so while also removing yourself, which is usually going to require you to put some systems in place and then trust that they're going to work, right? Because most of us will do that. We'll walk away and we'll go, it's not going to work. Everything's going to fall apart. It's not going to happen. And it's like, you also have to believe in the systems. You have to believe that the work that you've done is going to support you. And, ask God, divine spirit, the universe to show you how good it can get when you do that, because it can get really good.
Yeah, I think it's a good, like, it's an interesting problem to have to solve, right? And I would say too, like, go on those live videos and look at the messaging, because a lot of times it's not that you're live or not live. A lot of times for some of us, like, I'm this way too. Like, I'm really good at sales on live video. They do really well for us when people come live. Like, we make more money, right? But I'm always looking back on those videos and being like, what am I talking about here versus like in the email and versus on the sales page? And like, I think there was definitely a time where the marketing that was on the sales page and the marketing we were writing about in the emails was not the same messaging that was on the live video. When I was talking to people about like, look, like, we're not meant to do this by ourselves. This is hard. Like, you need support if you want to do this. I have a support group, right? Like, and I was saying that type of messaging on video. But when I looked at like our actual written marketing, it was like what I thought should be on the sales page. Like, it wasn't that. And so the other thing you can do, Megan, if you had a good live launch, is look at like, what was I actually saying to them? And like, that maybe is missing when we're doing the not, if you're not selling like over email, but you're selling during the launch, right? It's like, look at what are the discrepancies there too. What about you, Carly? Oh, I guess I'm loving systems.
It's not as good as Coraline's. Like, she's got like the whole system that basically breaks down exactly what I was going to say. But I love the idea of like the repurposing, the like restreaming a most successful live. I think that's really good. I think something else you can do is to go to that same live. And if it's already vertical, if you're already doing it in the vertical format, this will be easy to do too, is chop it up and grab, if you're answering someone's question, if like Susie asks you, this question that got a lot of engagement when you answered it, pull that piece of it and then post that as a standalone TikTok or a reel, send that to your email list, like pull apart those things. I don't know. I think you still have a podcast. Like, you can pull that audio and be like, it's limited time up on the podcast. The other thing you can do, and like, I get this, I'm not facing the same, I'm not pregnant with twins. Normal, I'll be pregnant again. But like, so I can't speak to that part of it. Anyway, y'all are incredible, because absolutely not. But it's like on the energy, on your high energy days, have a plan already in place to go, okay, I feel really good. I'm going to spend 30 minutes filming as many TikToks as I can. And then that way, when I don't want to do anything and I'm hiding from my kid in the bathroom and I'm just like doing my business, I can edit and post really quick. Like, that way it's already done. But don't wait until you're like in those high energy moments. Sorry, it's a fidget, by the way. It's a little alien fidget. I was like, man, I'm holding this random green thing. But like, don't wait until you're like, okay, I can post, like, I can record like 5 TikToks easy. And then you use the energy that you have to plan it out. And then you're like, well, screw this. Now my kid is screaming and I got children inside of my body and I don't know what to do. Like, don't wait for that. Have a plan in place, like a list of content ideas that are already outlined. And you're like, okay, cool. These are all related to my launch. I'm going to batch record a bunch of these and then post them when I'm not feeling like doing jack. Like, maybe you can have your VA do it at set times, or you can just choose to do it throughout the day. If you already have the content done ahead of time, like you already have it outlined, and then you can use your high energy moments throughout the day, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. You can get a whole lot of content cranked out, and then you can edit and hit publish later when you can't get out of bed. That's like that's what I've done, because I have my crap. Sorry.
Oh, it switched your camera.
Overheated, so now it looks like crap. Anyway, the audio is gonna be bad. I'm so sorry, you guys. Anyway. And then you just roll with it. When all the tech goes to shit, you just roll with it. But yeah, so like have those ideas ahead of time and record them, and then you can edit and post at a later time. Use your high energy moments. Oh, that's what I was saying. I was like, where did I go with this? Because I really struggle with anxiety and depression, and it's really bad right now. And so I cannot rely on myself to really stick to my office hours because my brain is just in the garbage right now. By having a list of content ideas that I've already outlined, they're already ready to go. I just have to film. I can have the moment of like, okay, let me film. And then I can just go back to feeling like crap later when I edit and post. That's where I was going with that before I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say this, Megan, too. It's interesting. She just said, like, I don't know if I have hangups around repurposing or if my reasons for doing it are legit. But I was going to say to you, like, you already have some successful launches under your belt. You don't need to be remaking the content for the launch. So, like, I don't write new launch emails every time we open the mastermind. I just reuse the other emails and then I write maybe 2. Like, so we send like a ton of emails during the launch, but I'm not writing all of those ahead of time, right? And so if you have a couple of successful launches, it's like, yeah, you can reuse the videos from them, you can reuse workshops you've done, you can reuse trainings, you can reuse copy. Like you don't need to be reinventing new things. I like making new things for you guys. Like I do a fair amount of that, I feel like, every year. But we also have old things too that we still use and like really, really love. So I would look at repurposing some of that. And then what about you, Alice? You have tips for launching when you're feeling like crap?
Yeah, I think first off, I wanted to say, Megan, I am so sorry that you're going through serious instability. That sounds hard. And I know a lot of us here, I mean, I struggle with that sometimes too. And lately, you know, the summer has been tough. We've all gone through just hard stuff. So yeah, sometimes it's like, yeah, how do I show up in my business when I feel like my life is going to shit, you know? And especially live, because what you're bringing to the table is an outpouring, you know, to help others. And sometimes we feel such a lack in ourselves. So how can we show up in that wholeness with our audience, with your sales? And I think there's a couple of different things, you know. So, because I have had this too. You wrote that question. I'm like, yes. Like, how did I do that?
All the depressed girlies unite.
Like, I have have some things in my life that I'm working through, and have had serious days where it's just like can't get out of the covers, you know, in my past and in this summer. So for that, like, you know, if you have instability in your life, and then, you know, a business where there's instability too, you don't have those systems yet, like how to move forward. And I think like doing mental work first, it would be helpful. So then that's how I have been moving forward. Like, what is a helpful thing? So what would showing up right now look like for me? Like, there's instability. I can't do this today. I'm feeling limited in this. So what does showing up today look like for me? And how can I make that enough? So not just like, how can I show up today, but make that enough for me as a person, and for my audience, and for what I'm doing in my life. And then, you know, what thoughts would be helpful? So like, what are, instead of saying like, focusing on like, I can't do this today, I am so overwhelmed today, I feel like I won't be able to show up, turning that around, like, what are helpful? Focusing on those thoughts are not helpful. So what can help me today showing up for this, or this week when I want to do my live event on Thursday? Like, what in my brain can I tell myself that I can believe that will get me to that, or get me through this day, or get me through this minute, in order to have a helpful, paving your way helpful towards that goal. And then how can I solve for this? So like, if you have instability in your life, just like everyone said here, like, how can you specifically solve for this issue? Or like, for, your life right now and how it looks. It doesn't have to be an issue. Like, this is the reality. Like, I have kids. Some have health issues. We have stuff going on. And then instead of focusing on like what I don't have and what I wish things were, focusing on like, this is what it is right now. Now, how can I solve for this? How can I organize my business, like your social and your posting and the things that I am doing in a way that can solve for the instability in the future and then now.
Yeah, this went so fast. I just looked at it. It's 2:58. I thought we had talked for like 10 minutes. What is happening? I want to give time for you guys to just tell everybody where to find you. If you have a free thing you want to promote, we can send it out with the replay. If you guys want to opt in, we have an opt-in where you can get reminders about the show each week, and then you get freebies from all the guests. So I will put the link for that in the chat, and I'll let you guys just tell everybody where we can stalk you, where we can find you, where should we follow you, where can we go become big fans of yours, all the things.
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
Corlin Hazelwood. You can find me at Corlin Hazelwood on Instagram and on YouTube. And you can also find our podcast Designed to Sell, which is more like business mixed with personal life. And it's been so funny because your girl's been back in the dating scene. So if any of y'all are single and wanting to hear my wild dating adventures and the things I learn about business through that, then, that's definitely the place you want to head. But for the most part, you'll find me on Instagram for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys definitely have to go stalk Corlin's I'm like, I have to know all the tea.
Oh, do I have tea for you, Faith? The night I had was an interesting one, that's for sure.
Okay. What about you guys? You guys have any dating podcasts? I'm just kidding. Carly, where should we stalk you?
Really quick, I just want to say I listened to today's episode on the way home from dropping my son off this morning. And yeah, you just want to go listen to it. Jesus Christ, go listen to it.
Okay.
I've been single for 8 years and I needed this in my life so bad. Anyway, you can find me That Content Nerd on just about any platform. I'm most active on Instagram and TikTok. You can also find the That Content Nerd podcast. So original, I know. Basically, I think if you Google That Content Nerd, all one word at this point, all my stuff should show up. But Lord knows. Anyway, That Content Nerd just about anywhere.
If you find a girl with normal colored hair, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, absolutely. Wrong place. Wrong place.
And then what about you, Alice? Where should we stalk you?
At Instagram. So my handle is wildflowersgrow.co. That's where I'm most active. Facebook too. And then, if you want to reach out to me, on my website or my email, but you can just message me or DM me on Instagram. We all have colored hair here, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. Corlin's like red, but yours is so bright and pretty right now. Every time I see her on Instagram, I'm like, hair goals.
All of your hair goals. What do you mean?
I know we have like a hair goals community. I feel like a lot of
people
with good hair in my community. We love to see it.
Don't look at my hair right now. It's getting done tomorrow. Like, don't look at it right now. It's so bad. But tomorrow, hair goals.
No, it's good.
So we need to find you on Instagram to see.
Yeah, everybody go follow Carly to see the transformation. I'm doing a free workshop on Monday. It's called Work Less, Make More. I'm really excited about it. You guys should come. We're also opening the vault for the mastermind membership, which is our yearly membership. And we're doing our biggest bonus package we've, I think, ever offered, which is really insane because you guys know, I feel like we've really hooked you guys up in there this year. But I'm always like doing the most over here. So we're doing our biggest bonus package we've ever offered, and that will be available on Monday. So we're really, really excited. We're working a lot on it behind the scenes, getting it all ready for you guys, getting excited for new people to come in there, all the things. I'm going to be doing Power Hour every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. I put the link for the chat if you want to get the reminders, you want to get freebies from all of our guests and all that stuff. So that is that. Anybody have a mic drop? I feel like we should do like one mic drop. What would you say to somebody who's like, that's nice for you guys, but I still can't do it? Somebody give a nice little mic drop moment before we head out, not to put everybody on the spot.
I'll give a like an affirmation things that since I think we all kind of bonded over instability.
Life be hard, man. And life really be, I'm always like, life really be life in lately, you know? It's like it could take a step back. It
Like
could
how many planets are in the microwave? Like what are we doing out there? Oh God, like how many planets do you got going the opposite direction right now? Because we're feeling it. But I always say, and I think it's a big thing in our community too, like I make money even on my worst days. Like I don't have to feel amazing to make an impact. I make money even on my worst days. I am so unbelievably supported when I take care of me. Like there is so much evidence that I am supported all around me. Money flows to me every single day, especially when I'm not feeling well. And that's why I built this business, is so like my life can be a little bit unstable. And I'm going to let God, Divine Spirit, Universe show me through my business that I am supported, that I am capable, that I am of value, that like all of these things, right? Like I make money even on my worst possible days is something that has just constantly been confirmed to me, and I always am looking for that evidence in my life that that is true.
Amen. There you go. Mic dropped. All right, you guys. I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you for being here. We'll see you guys next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.